There are moments in life that change everything, and upon reflection, one realizes they often begin in the most ordinary ways. Yet, that ordinariness is never truly static. My story began like that. Ethan, my stepson, and I were sharing a typical evening in the living room, the silence heavy after Gabriel's passing. For 2 years I had been trying to piece together the shattered fragments of my life, but I hadn't noticed how much Ethan had grown. Perhaps I was reluctant to see it. We were watching in an action-packed film laced with unexpected romance. Ethan sat beside me, sprawled on the couch, his arms casually extended as if he owned the space. It was the first time I noticed him like this, his shoulders broader, his jawline sharper. He had undeniably crossed the threshold into manhood. Yet, I quickly pushed that thought aside. He is my stepson, I reminded myself. Little did I know that night those reminders would soon be put to the test. As the film unfolded, the tension escalated with each passing scene. Ethan leaned slightly to the side, his arm draping over the back of the couch, inching closer to me. He seemed poised to speak, yet hesitated, the air thick with unspoken words. Our eyes locked, and in that fleeting moment, I sensed a depth in his gaze that sent a shiver down my spine. A wave of unease washed over me, and I fought to dismiss it, to rationalize the moment. It's just a film, I told myself, just a misunderstanding. Yet the weight of the moment lingered, refusing to be ignored. Yet my emotions were undeniably real. In that exquisite moment, I felt his breath brush against my cheek. Unbeknownst to him, he had moved closer, his hand resting on the couch so near my shoulder that I couldn't tell if he was about to touch me. Inside, I was a whirlwind of confusion. His proximity stirred a discomfort that was both unsettling and exhilarating. That thrill sparked a fear within me. Yet everything was happening so fast that I struggled to keep up with my own racing thoughts. Thoughts raced through Evelyn's mind as he spoke, his voice low and tinged with uncertainty. I wish to convey a message to you, he said, meeting my gaze, my heart pounding in response. Indeed, Ethan? I inquired, my voice barely above a whisper. I'll be at my bow. He trembled slightly, yet his gratitude poured forth, a testament to everything that had transpired since Gabriel's demise. You have consistently supported me. You were not obligated, yet you stayed. Your presence assured me. I never felt isolated in this home. The responsibility lies with you. His words struck deep, their weight heavy in the air, the intensity of the moment leaving me breathless. Susceptible, certainly, Ethan said, a hint of a smile tugging at my lips. I am pleased by your presence. Yet he held my gaze unwavering. Me too, he replied slowly, his voice rich and deep. Your being here instills a sense of tranquility in me. The air between us thickened, heavy with an unspoken tension. He seemed to feel it too as he subtly pulled back his hand, but his eyes remained locked on mine. In that moment, uncertainty gripped me. My heart raced wildly, thoughts swirling in a chaotic dance. In the chaos of my thoughts, I fought to maintain the distance between us, yet a spark ignited in my mind. He was no longer just a boy. That realization hit me like a thunderclap that night, a truth that would change everything. Ethan's attitude towards me had shifted, intensified, charged with a new purpose. For years, I had played the role of caretaker, but the Ethan beside me that evening was transformed. At 19, he stood tall, broad-shouldered, and undeniably handsome, yet he still felt like my own. As I grappled with the tumult of emotions swirling within me, one thought anchored me, my stepson. Little did I know that night would not end as I expected. When Ethan looked at me, the depth in his gaze stripped away my defenses, leaving me exposed to the unusual warmth radiating from him. In that moment, I was blissfully unaware of the impending event that would unfold, a moment that would forever change the course of my life. If you find yourself drawn to tales of transformation and unexpected turns, this story is just beginning. Confessions of this nature beckon you to join my channel, subscribe, and activate notifications to lend your support. Trust me, this narrative promises to be one of the most exhilarating you will ever encounter. Several days had passed since that fateful night, and Ethan's behavior during breakfast was anything but ordinary. He engaged in conversation more than usual, his eyes rarely leaving mine. To my astonishment, he began helping with household chores in a way I had never seen before. Evelyn, let me help you, he said one morning, watching me mop the floor as he took action. The broom slipped from my fingers as he took over the task, and I stared at him in disbelief. He had never shown interest in such chores before. "I know you handle everything in this household on your own," he said, his eyes fixed on mine. "You're just one person. You need help." His words struck me, leaving me both astonished and unexpectedly moved. "Thank you, Ethan," I managed to say, fighting to steady the slight tremor in my voice. Yet, a warmth spread within me, ignited by his genuine acknowledgement. In the solitude of the kitchen, a profound awareness enveloped me as I prepared the meal. I felt Ethan's gaze, heavy and unyielding, fixed upon me from behind, leaning casually against the counter. This was no ordinary observation. His eyes roamed over my form, lingering on my hips, my back, my hair. At first, I dismissed it as a figment of my imagination, a trick of the mind. "No, Evelyn, you're overreacting," I chided myself. Yet, the intensity of his stare was undeniable, and I struggled to maintain my composure. Typically, I would brush off the subtle thrill that coursed through me. But this time I couldn't ignore it. I truly savored the moment. It had been far too long since someone had given me such undivided attention. After Ethan left the kitchen, an urge pulled me toward the mirror. I studied my reflection, still captivating in my 30s. My slender waist and generous hips complemented a physique honed by relentless training. My light brown wavy hair flowed gracefully over my shoulders, framing my face with a gentle allure. My mammary glands, it seems, have been overlooked by time. I hadn't dared to examine my reflection in the mirror for what felt like an eternity, but in that moment, an emotion stirred within me. A transformation was underway. Ethan's actions grew more pronounced with each passing day. His gaze lingered on me, no longer fleeting. Sometimes it was a casual brush, other times a single word held weight. Yet I couldn't shake the feeling that he was inching closer to crossing the boundaries that had long kept us apart. And that thought was deeply unsettling, was nothing short of shocking. As I lay in bed that night, a singular thought consumed me. Ethan had shed the skin of boyhood, emerging as a strikingly sophisticated man. The thrill of this realization coursed through me, igniting a fire I hadn't expected. I sensed that soon a moment would arrive, one that would spiral into an inescapable web of complications. One evening I returned home after a night out, only to be confronted by a scene that would change everything. Rendered speechless, I stood amidst the ubiquitous candles, their flickering flames casting a warm glow over an elegantly arranged table that promised a romantic ambience. My heart raced as I took in the birthday surprise Ethan had orchestrated. At first, disbelief washed over me. Such effort seemed more fitting for a romantic partner than a birthday celebration. But as Ethan stepped into the living room, dressed in a crisp white shirt and black trousers I had never seen him wear, everything clicked into place. The reason for my earlier thoughts became painfully clear. In that moment, he exuded an air of charm and meticulous organization that made it nearly impossible to look away. With a subtle smile, he declared, "I aim to make this day extraordinary for you." Then he revealed a package. As I opened it and laid eyes on the dress inside, astonishment washed over me. The striking crimson fabric, sleek and alluring, featured a daring open back and a high slit. A rush of exhilaration and trepidation coursed through me. "Did you really buy this for me?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. With a sense of disbelief, I asked, "Is it really your birthday?" He replied calmly, "Yes, and I want you to wear something exceptional." His gaze remained steady, filled with confidence that the dress would look remarkable on me. I took the garment and retreated to my room. As I stood before the mirror, the soft crimson fabric brushed against my skin, stirring feelings I hadn't felt in ages. Once I donned the dress, I realized it had been years since I wore something that so beautifully highlighted my figure. Legs emerged gracefully through the slit, the contour of my waist and the sleek line of my back harmoniously enhancing the dress's design. I gazed at my reflection, and after a brief moment of contemplation, I grinned and murmured to myself, "This is absurd. I am adorning myself for Ethan." Indeed, I appeared remarkable in this attire. I examined my reflection with greater scrutiny, confronting realities I had overlooked for years. Although I was in my late 40s, this outfit rejuvenated my sense of youth, making me feel as if I were in my prime once more. In my 20s once more, my skin was smooth, and my light brown hair cascaded gently down my shoulders, framing my face with an elegant touch. A surge of exhilaration coursed through me, a feeling I hadn't felt in ages. Taking a deep breath, I stepped out of the room and made my way to the living room. There, Ethan's gaze was fixed on me, unwavering and intense, adding an air of strangeness to the moment. His look was unmistakably one of admiration. With a smile, I expressed my gratitude, saying, "I owe this to you. The outfit is remarkable," yet I quickly averted my gaze, acutely aware of Ethan's penetrating stare. "I was right," Ethan confirmed, his eyes locked onto mine. "You look exceptionally beautiful in that outfit." His candid compliment sent my heart racing, but I tried to brush it off. "You're exaggerating," I replied. Ethan gestured toward the table he had set, where 2 wine glasses stood poised beside a bottle of red wine, elegantly centered. For a fleeting moment, I caught a glimpse of myself in a completely different light. The atmosphere was far from a typical birthday celebration. It felt more like an intimate dinner for 2. I held my tongue, entranced by the ambience that enveloped us. Ethan uncorked the wine, pouring it into our glasses as soft, melodic tunes floated through the air, the wine's richness dancing on our palates. We began by reminiscing about the past, particularly Gabriel and the changes that had shaped our lives. But as the evening unfolded, I noticed Ethan subtly steering the conversation toward a more personal topic. "Evelyn," he stated abruptly, his voice a blend of kindness and gravity, "how can a woman of your caliber be solitary? I simply do not comprehend it." I found myself utterly speechless in his presence. "Solitude is not always a matter of choice. Life often leads to isolation," I replied, though his gaze held a depth that spoke volumes. "You need not remain solitary," he said, lifting his glass to his lips. "A woman of your stature possesses desires. Furthermore, I am here." The weight of his words caught in my throat, leaving me profoundly affected. It struck me more deeply than I had expected. I raised my glass and took another sip, yet my eyes were locked on Ethan. This birthday had shifted from a simple celebration into something entirely different. As he set his wine glass down, Ethan's gaze remained steady on me. "Evelyn, you look truly remarkable," he said, his voice low but firm. "I wanted this evening to be exceptional for you because you deserve it." I managed a shy smile, swirling my glass in my hand. "Your kind words mean a lot to me," I replied. "Ethan, however, at times I ponder the rationale behind your considerable exertion," I remarked, and Ethan arched an eyebrow slightly, responding, "Because you merit it. You are more than merely a stepmother, Evelyn. You exceed that characterization significantly." His tone held a depth that astonished and profoundly affected me. For an instant, neither of us averted our gaze. The silence between us intensified the tension. My heart raced, yet I could not summon the courage to utter a word that might disrupt the moment. Ethan gradually rose from his seat, circumnavigating the table, and approached my side. He leaned closer, resting his palm on the edge of the table. "Evelyn, you are unworthy of sharing your solitude with someone who fails to value you," he stated, emphasizing that no one should underestimate a woman of your caliber. I attempted to engage Ethan in conversation, but the words were lodged in my throat, leaving me at a loss. Just as I was about to articulate my thoughts, Ethan leaned in closer to my visage and whispered that he could not conceal his. Emotion surged within me as his lips met mine, a kiss that left me utterly disoriented. I felt a fervor and intimacy, a connection I hadn't experienced in years. Ethan's hand slid down to my waist, pulling me closer, and what began as astonishment quickly morphed into an instinctive reaction. Our lips lingered together, suspended in time, as if the world around us had vanished. But just as suddenly reality crashed back in, and I found myself pulling away from Ethan, completely overwhelmed. My voice trembled as I spoke. "Ethan, I must return to my room." His gaze pierced through me, and he inhaled deeply. "Apologies, Evelyn, but I can't suppress this feeling," he replied, his tone steady yet charged with an undercurrent of urgency. I stood abruptly, my heart pounding, and hurried to my room. Once inside, I shut the door and leaned against it, gasping for breath as I tried to process everything that had just happened. I sank onto the edge of my bed, staring into the mirror, confronting the reflection that seemed to hold secrets of its own. It felt as though the weight of that moment was an unshakable shroud. What had led to this? I whispered to myself, the chaos in my mind intensified by the effects of the drink, drawing me closer to the comfort of my bed. As my head met the pillow, the emotions and burdens of the evening crashed over me, and I surrendered to sleep. Yet the night was far from over. A faint sound stirred me awake. I opened my eyes to see a shadow lingering at the doorway, the door creaking open to reveal Ethan. In the dim light, Evelyn's form emerged, his voice a soft murmur that carried an undeniable weight. My heart quickened as he stepped into the room, the stillness of the night amplifying the tension. "I know my presence here is inappropriate," he confessed, closing the door with a quiet finality. Yet, the look in Ethan's eyes told me the night was just beginning. The intensity of his gaze and the deliberate cadence of his words ensnared me, sending my heart into a frantic race, as if the very air around us crackled with unspoken possibilities, may explode from my chest. The moment our eyes met, I felt an undeniable urgency to speak. Years of buried emotions surged forth, demanding acknowledgement. "I understand, Ethan," I managed to say, my voice trembling yet raw with honesty. "I feel the same way." His unwavering gaze held me captive, and the feelings I had long suppressed became impossible to hide. My heart raced and the need to respond was overwhelming. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my quaking resolve. "Voice, I acknowledge that I must provide you with a response." "Ethan," I stated, fixing my gaze upon him. "I shared the same sentiment. I desire you." Upon uttering those words, the blend of astonishment and joy on Ethan's visage instilled in me a wave of confidence. A gentle smile graced my lips as I briefly closed my eyes to compose myself. "Kindly, before I lose my resolve," I declared, my hands shifting to my shoulders as I spoke. I gradually lowered the delicate straps of my dress. The fabric slipping from my body, descended to the floor, leaving me standing as Ethan's breath faltered. The admiration and need in his gaze intensified the exhilaration within me. Without hesitation, Ethan approached, and our lips connected once more. His kiss was so imbued with passion that it felt as if the entire world had ceased to exist. His hand encircled my waist, drawing me closer as the kiss deepened. Ultimately, he softly directed me toward the bed, and upon reaching the precipice, Ethan's hands gently placed me onto the. My gaze was locked onto him, his imposing presence demanding my complete surrender. Ethan crouched, swiftly shedding his shirt, and positioned himself on the bed, leaning closer. The intensity of longing in his eyes stoked the fire of desire within me. His fingertips traced down my cheek, rediscovering my lips, and in that instant, the barriers that had separated us for years crumbled away. I was engulfed by an emotion I had never felt before. For more than 2 years I had surrendered completely. As Ethan moved closer, I gripped the covers tightly, shutting my eyes to the world around me. I let the tension and exhilaration course through my veins. When I finally opened my eyes, the sight of Ethan, his flushed face and powerful shoulders, was irresistible. I reached out, my hands finding their way to his back, and in a fleeting moment of wild abandon, I dug my nails into his skin. I could feel his heartbeat quicken, a sign that he welcomed the thrill of our connection. My palm rested on his chest, feeling the frantic rhythm of his heartbeat. In that moment, Ethan could no longer hold back. He surrendered completely. We had given in to each other, and as Ethan gasped, he reclined beside me. On that day, amidst our discussions of love, I drifted into a deep slumber. Little did I know my life was on the brink of a radical transformation. I had just experienced a night of unparalleled joy, and it struck me that this was only the beginning. Stay tuned for what comes next. The story does not end here. Stay alert, for if you've made it this far, you know the depth of its impact. There is so much more to share, and you won't want to miss a single moment. Don't forget to hit that follow button, turn on notifications, and leave your thoughts about this unfolding tale.